You know, bro?
What's going on, slave tards? Everything is awesome. Na 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 na. Everything is awesome. You know what? People are commenting on my last video about me enjoying this too much, watching this market crash, And the reason why I'm enjoying it is because I'm older, dude. I'm older. So I went through the days of making lots of money, doing some risky stuff. But I was too stupid to know that I was doing it at a time where no one lost, right? I mean, the markets are going straight up for a long time or straight down for a long time. You can't lose. You just can't lose, right? But you have to learn this stuff. You have to go through a couple of crashes to see how they actually happen, and you learn a lot, right? So in 2008, I was one of these guys that the market's coming down, right? It's coming down. So I put shorts on, and then the market would rally like just freaking huge for 2 days, right? And I would get just totally scared, right? And I'd cover or sell my puts or whatever. And then the market would continue down again, and I'd miss out. Right? Because I was trying to time the market on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to do that, dudes. I mean, people are talking about this rally today, like oh, okay, the sell-off is over. Bull market on. I see these idiots like Tom Lee, the guy at CNBC that works in some hedge fund, and he's like a perma bull. I see these guys and I'm like, these guys are fools. They're complete fools. Like, money has been fixed for so long, and the markets have been fixed on this freaking funny money from the Fed for so long that nobody remembers how markets actually work. And the market is stronger than the Fed. It's stronger than QE. It's stronger than TARP. It's stronger than all that, dude, could ever, dream of being. It's stronger, right? So we live in a world now that people absolutely think that the governments now are stronger than markets. And they've got it where, hey, circuit breakers, the other morning when the Dow dropped 1,000 points and all of a sudden come roaring back, and they had these Rule 48s where, they open slowly and don't let trades go unless you're a big boy. And then you can trade during that time. Nobody else can trade, right? Scott Trade and TD Ameritrade might be offline during that deal, but the big boys get to trade, but they have all these freaking rules, and they've implemented these rules the last 3 days, and they're doing all this stuff. They're scared. That's why, because they're scared, right? If they thought this was just a regular correction, there would be none of that. There would be none of that, pulling out Rule 48 out of your butt, right, to make the market open in such a way where only big boys can buy and sell and everybody else locked out. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These markets are a complete joke. But these markets are also still stronger than all the freaking government QE and fake money, right? Fake money. Last night I kind of got into religion a little bit, but one of the things that I like about Jesus Christ, for example, is if you read about this guy's life, and a lot of people are, he's not the Messiah, he is the Messiah, but most religions, Muslim, Jews, Christian, they believe he was around. He was a pretty, upright guy, right? They all have some kind of belief. It may not be the same as Christian, but they do. So I'm almost positive that Christ absolutely was here on this earth at some point. And whatever that might be, right? A guy that was so great that they wrote about him, and what they wrote about him stayed around for thousands of years, and people still read about it, right? So there's something there. So anyway, one of the things I like about, Christ, the person of Jesus Christ, was that I never saw him one time by reading the Bible. Never saw Jesus Christ ever show hatred towards anyone, right? But I did see Jesus Christ show hatred towards something. And you always show hatred towards money, dude. Straight up money changers. The money, right? He had hatred for money because the only real money, there's only one thing that's real money. You talk about gold, only real money. Silver's only real money. Cashola or whatever, only real money. No. The only real money in the world is work. It's work. That's it. That's all, right? Work is money, right? It's the only money that matters. Right? If you need some chickens and homeboy down the road needs some freaking wood, you can put in some work and you can get them chickens, right? You can get them chickens. I mean, work is where it's at. But we live in a world now that looks at money, and it was the same money that you read about in the Bible that Jesus Christ hated, right? Showed hatred towards, right? That's what we have today. It ain't real money. Everybody trying to get rich without working. Everybody trying to get a leg up and rip each other off, right? Without having to do the least amount of work possible. That's what money has turned into. But markets are the same as they always have been. And they rule supreme. So you see what happened today in the stock market, dude, and you see this rally, and I'm watching all these pundits and CNBC analysts. These guys are freaking idiots. They don't remember in 2008 some of the largest point in percentage gains in Dow history happened during the 2008 crash. They don't remember that. They're fools, complete fools, every one of them. But they're doing this whole thing like, oh, it's rally mode now. And I see all these articles like, boom. Here's all oversold stuff. You buy all this, boom. Market's over. Correction is over. All these people saying this stuff. Meanwhile, China is dumping bonds at like an epic rate, right? I read the other day that we've had a Fed rate hike and a half. A Fed rate hike and a half. So the Fed was only going to raise interest rates 25 basis points or 0.25%. And in the last week or so on its own, interest rates rose 0.37% or 37 basis points. So while the pundits and CNBC and the analysts are all sitting there trying to figure out what the Fed's going to do, and the Fed's sitting around with their thumb up their butt because they don't know, what should we say? Should we say we're not going to raise rates after we've been telling people for 2 years we are? We are going to do it. Should we do that? Would that make them lose confidence in it? No one has confidence in you in the first place. You guys are incompetent, and you're witnessing it in the markets right now, and the way that we're losing the currency war. Yet the Federal Reserve is still sitting around, trying to figure out what they should do. Should they say they're not going to raise rates? Should they even start thinking about QE4? What should we do? And then meanwhile, China is making interest rates in America rise on their own. The Fed is incompetent, dude. They're a joke, the world joke already. Well, what does it mean when you have a stronger dollar? It means everything else is cheaper. And guess what? The stock market is not exempt from that. It's going down. It's going to come down. The dollar has been so strong for a long time, and the stock market tried to fight that, but it's losing the battle. It's going to lose royally, right? Because this dollar is about to get strong. I mean, I'm telling you guys, gold and silver, all that stuff, everything is going to come down in price. It's getting cheap. You just watch it, right? So we had like a 400-point rally on the market today. Everybody thinks it's great, but when you look at the data, oil is down today. Oil's getting cheaper, right? Yields rose a lot today, right? The dollar is getting stronger. That means the stock market is gonna get cheaper, and it's gonna get cheaper in a hurry, right? So China does have all these issues. But guess what? They own $2 trillion worth of American money. So if the dollar is getting stronger, then so is their investment, and they're going to cash that in soon. They're going to cash it in soon. And when things get so cheap from the dollar being so strong, they're going to use those $2 trillion worth of freaking bonds that they sell. They're going to use those dollars to buy the assets up on the cheap. They're not idiots. They're not idiots, right? And everything in America is for sale. Everything, right? The Chinese could own Facebook if they wanted to. All they had to do is cash in some bonds and buy the stock at ultra low, valuations, which is going to be pretty soon. It ain't there yet. See, that's the thing. People are like, well, raw dog, if they're selling, bonds and yields are rising and more dollars are flowing out to people that used to hold bonds, wouldn't that make the dollar weaker because they're going to spend that money in the economy and cause inflation with all this, stream of dollars coming out? Absolutely. 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 So as they're exchanging their bonds for dollars, buying dollars, that's what they're doing. They're making yields rise and they're making the dollar stronger, right? And what that does is drive down prices. So they're not going to run out there and bid the market up at this point, at this level. They're not going to go out there and say, now we got all these dollars. I'm going to buy the Dow at 16,500. Right? It's still way too high for them. Why wouldn't they want to take those dollars, just stock them away for a rainy day that's coming when the freaking Dow is going to be like 5,000? Right? And the stocks on the Dow are going to be cheap. They think they got purchasing power right now with the strong dollar. Just wait till this crash happens. You fools that are buying into everything is awesome. You're idiots. The reason why it's 100%, a 100% chance the stock market is going to tank. I mean, there's never been a more sure bet in the history of mankind. The stock market, the U.S. stock market has got to go a lot lower. It has to. There is no other way, because guess what? We've already lost the currency war. We've already lost it. We've already lost it. We have a Federal Reserve now who sits around trying to figure out whether they should raise rates a quarter basis point for 2 years. In a span of a little over 2 weeks, China makes interest rates go up 37 basis points or 0.37% on their own. They don't need the Fed. The Fed is incompetent. The Fed has no real power, right? So the Fed has been talking about higher interest rates because everything has been cheery for 2 years. And the only thing that's going to save America or prolong America's destruction from total and complete destruction, the only thing that could save it, or prolong it a little while longer, would be quantitative easing, right? In a hurry, in a lot. I mean, trillions, right? We have to do quantitative easing. We don't have a choice because we have $18 trillion of debt, and we have people that own bonds that can sell them at any moment and make interest rates rise on their own. They don't need the Fed to do it. China says, I'm going to do it for you, right? China's having a hard time selling, and what they do is manufacture, and their goods are getting more expensive because their currency was getting stronger, right? So they've been devaluing, but they still have some good old US of A American currency. I'm telling you, these cities, ghost cities over in China, they have a purpose. There's a purpose for them. You're going to see a worldwide shift in wealth. I'm telling you right now. So what's going to happen is the Fed has to QE. It has to print money. Our debt is too large, so much that they cannot keep interest rates now down when people start selling bonds without it. It's an absolute must. It's an absolute must. So you think the Fed is not going to try to save face? You think the Fed's not going to try to save face? They're trying to figure out whether they're going to raise interest rates or not, and it's already been done for them. But the time that the Federal Reserve does QE4, the market is going to be maybe 5,000 or 6,000. It's going to be way down there. And it's going to be that way because they got to save face. They're not going to do anything until something like that happens. And since America's, financial, health, not health. I want to say America's livelihood, the life of America depends on quantitative easing, because we can't have higher interest rates. And the only way to stop higher interest rates at this point, with $18 trillion worth of bonds laying out there, is to continue to print. And the only way to continue to print is a lower stock market, so they have a reason to do so. So, I mean, it's clear as day to anybody that has a brain